here on the top side of the map, we have Jazz, we've got Royzus, Jay Dazza, and the big man in line. So a really strong lineup, especially a competitive lineup. These guys know what they're doing. We're going to take their first chase here, and this is Maya on the lineup as the Spirit here. And I saw a fast vault there from the big JD. So we hopefully can get a tag here if we are Maya. That would be ideal here. But Tavi, what are your thoughts on this one, mate? Going to be a great matchup.
Well, I actually have a bit of personal experience against Mayor Spirit. A couple of millennia ago, I was actually playing on a Dead by Daylight team in OSL. Actually, I don't think. No, yeah, probably OSL. But I was playing and managed to end up getting, I believe, 4K won by Maya Nisa's Spirit. And I think in this case, I think it might go to a bit of a better result on the Survive side because they've gotten an exceptional start. JD took the first chase, took it very, very confidently, and has managed to allow Bleedout to just not take any hits. Voice is also dropping the pallet. It's going to be really good for them. And just continue the chase on. But otherwise, I think apart from the start, I think CatJam got a bit of work to do. Like, they haven't gotten an attack yet, and have already passed around 90 seconds of that corrupt intervention, which is a problem because corrupt intervention, is like a timer for when the first general pop. We can see in the background the two gens approaching the 100% mark. Actually, I don't think, is that the double? No, that's a double. So that's the double gen and the single gen being popped in the background for this first injury from Voices, which is very, very strong from Bleedout. So there's definitely turned a bit of the tides because I would have expected Bleedout to perhaps have a bit of a difficult time in this first set. That being said, I think they did perform pretty well last week. They did manage to get a nice comeback, so never count them out. I just thought that they perhaps would be off to a shaky start in this first set, which is, of course, as we're seeing right now, not the case. This is a very strong start. This is the best start, Hasso, we've seen from Spirit this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfectly said, Tavi. I mean, it's close. It definitely. I mean, the survivors JD, obviously, I know he would be the IGL, and he would have them rounded up, locked in, and, really fired up. JD has been around for a while. I've known him for a good 6 years, and the man has always been the leader of whatever it is. So, it is going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if they get a really good result as, they're just such a solidified team. They've been together for so long. But I would like to see Maya pop off as well. That is something that I'm absolutely keen to see. So Maya getting the tag, opting to leave. Now we do have Caller Brian coming into play. So no Sloppy, and, we do see the reset coming into the big man Royzus, the Chinese Ronaldo, so the GOAT. So, it could be dire here. We are going to just swing straight through the pallet. This could be a two-tap. Hold on a second, Royzus. You're going to have to hold on a second. You are going to get your balance landing back. We are going to get away just in time. That's got about 2 seconds longer than the phase. So very nicely done on the side of the big man, Roy. And we are just going to buy some more time as you see Jazz pop a jet in the back, and that's going to be the tag because the ping has absolutely screwed over the big man. So that is a tag onto Royce. So very nicely done. So, this will be, I'm pretty sure it's already been banged. It has absolutely, so I can't read. But, overall, Tavi, a really nice, really, really a beautiful start on the side of Survivors.
Yeah, I feel like they have done an additional generator to what the average Spirit set has been. Like, usually the Spirit is looking at defending 3 generators out of the 5 remaining in the trial that are like still not completed. So usually it's at 3, but now it's at 2, and man, Maya's really got to be feeling the pressure because that number just is so much more more terrifying to look at. It's like if they pop 2 gens for the tunnel out, then suddenly instead of looking at 4K1 or 4K0, we're looking at stages out the door, which is a huge, huge difference going into the next trial. And we see that for the people coming through from Enlightened, so this is the altruistic play that we were expecting, and Maya is actually taking the down onto Enlighten instead. So really nice play there. I'm not sure if that was recognition that the Shack Palette was still up by Maya, or whether that Enlighten was just in a worse spot in general. But they still managed to make it so far down the map thanks to Spirit's 110, and they will also have presumably have the second win available as well off the next hook. If they are successfully unhooked and they do not get interrupted with a mending state, then they get fully healed within 24 seconds, which is a very big deal. Especially with this generator popping as well, means that like all these perks are starting to shine in the current moment. Every bit of time save from the survivors just feels so much worse for the killer. It's just, well, now the unhooked survivor is going to be healthy. I have no pressure if I don't find an injury and a down soon and in Maya's shoes, and it'd be ideal perhaps not even to find Voices at this point, because Voices is of course the death hook, which means there's only one more stage available. It gets tagged through the pallet, but like, is it even worth chasing the survivor? Is this bait? Is this bait going for the one stage when it could be going for the fresh survivor instead, going for the pain resonance, delaying the trial a little bit more, getting a few more stages? And it seems like Mayonnaise will decide to go for the chase onto Voices, gets the stun, does the Ronaldo of China, and he's just going to make it to the hill. Bounce landing is going to keep him safe for the time being, and Maya's going to head back, hoping for some fresh stages instead on the top side of the map. And I don't think we've seen any scratch marks around here. Of course, the reset comes through, so two survivors are around this area, and it popped this bit, but it's not just yet. Gets the pallet stun, does Jazz. First time I think we've seen him this trial, and he's gonna have to last a little bit longer if he doesn't want to give away the fresh states hassle. But I think that's what it's going to come down to now, just the fresh states as Jazz gets hit. I think this is a chase that Maya really wants to commit here, because getting the pain res, starting that gen regression, and just in general just getting more states for the inevitable fifth generator pop and survivors going out the door, that's what you really need in this situation for Mayo.
Yeah, perfectly well said, big man. So, I mean, it definitely will be out. This gen will be popping the Royces. He's working. He's now being doubled by him and the big man Jay Dazza. So, actually the pain rate. So hold on a second. If we make it here, so we aren't gonna go towards the bot side of the map, unfortunately. So that will be the final gen coming into play, and this will be the big Enlighten. Now, I've known Light for a while. I know this man is a dedicated grinder. He's locked in on the scrims. Definitely will tell people to shut up so he can hear the phasing. So, good to see Big Light. Yeah, good to see the big man Light locked in. And we are gonna just stealth and get on to the next locker. So that burns enough time for that final gen to pop. That is looking like, if we camp this out, I mean, we are looking at a good 5-stage 6-stage 3 fresh. So, if we can find JD here and camp JD out and somehow miraculously, pull that off, this game could be flipped over like a pancake, and it could absolutely work out in CatJam's favor. So we are gonna have to wait some time, but Tavi, what do the survivors have to do? The CatJam survivors, if they want to get a good result against, I suspect it'll be JD on the killer.
What I think they'll have to do, Hasso, is play the game not necessarily perfect, but they will have to play the game in such a way that they exploit JD's mistakes. They exploit the mistakes from Bleedout's killer, and that's pretty much the necessity here, because this game, I feel, is not necessarily perfect from the survivors, but that first chase was so, and that determined the rest of the trial, in my opinion, because, again, as I was saying before, having that extra generator in the pocket for Bleedout meant that instead of Maya going for the tunnel out onto Royces, which we saw on that topside generator, instead, was it topside, bottom side generator? Instead of that happening, we had to go back and try and go for fresh hooks, had to try go for Enlightened instead, go for Jazz instead, because there were just too much pressure on the board. Like, if there were two generators remaining, that would mean that Royces could get tunnel out, one generator pops. There's still plenty of time.
First set of Bleedout versus CatJam. I want to say Kato Kids versus CatJam, but that is not one that will be happening for a while. So, this is Tavi, not an easy win con, of course, on the side of the survivors. I think it's 4 stage 3 fresh out the door, incredibly difficult. But I'm keen to see what these survivors put on, especially with the immense pressure that they'd be under. Obviously, Leggy being the sprint burst player, Mercy Death being the dead hard player, and the big enlightened being on the spirit, which I never honestly thought I'd ever see the day of this man playing the spirit. I've never seen him play spirit, never seen it in action, but clearly picking this man, Bleedouts must be confident. And they aren't going to spot anyone out, but it definitely could be a dire situation if Enlight doesn't spot a survivor very shortly. So you know, the immense pressure, like I said, Tavi will build on these survivors, and it already has built enough with the win con, with what it will be. But I want your honest, honest take. Do you think that it will, that they need to play aggressive, the survivors, or should they play it nice and slow and just let it move slowly?
I don't think they can afford to play passive here. There's a certain point where playing passive is just going to eat away too much on the generators. Like, percentages are pretty much the key thing here. Hunter, nice WA game buddy. That's not going to help you on Survivor as he gets hit through the crane pallet, and that is not a good sign because that first 1 minute of the trial was very perfect from CatJam. And Lightning didn't want to commit the sprint burst, and now Hunter's just 2-tap here on the wait, hold on, this is the bot side of the map. No, this is the top side of the map, my bad. And yeah, this is just even though I was saying before, they do have to take some risk, like playing too passive will just mean not enough gen pressure. I guess that was perhaps Enlightened just playing Spirit well, tracked Hunter down, got the second tap really cleanly, and also manages to drag the hook next to an active generator, which will stop the survivors in their tracks. So, something tells me, Hasso, that the fact that there are not 2 gens pop the first chase will keep CatJam in the not in the upper hand. Wait, what's it? Whatever. I mean, they're in a precarious spot here because they cannot afford to make any more mistakes at this point. They'll have to rely on perhaps even predicting what Enlighten does here on Spirit. Like, they have to be proactive. They cannot just sit back and relax and let Hunter die. They cannot sit back and relax while survivors get pressured off generators. They have to play aggressive. They have to try plays like that. Leggy unfortunately gets tagged there, but that was a good idea coming through from them. And if this does continue and Leiden just can capitalize on this plays, then there will just be 5 stages easily for Leiden on the board, and the pull finally comes through, but Hunter's going to get tracked down really nicely, and he's not got much to play with Hasso, so this chase has to last.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter playing this fairly nicely, just buying as much time as he can for the team, and it will be a death here, I suppose, considering the situation we are in now. Hunter is buying a lot of time. Unfortunately, that will be a down, so that'll be a second stage for about a generator and a half. Now, Tavi, the situation they're in, obviously very sticky situation, not a very fun one to be in if you are on the side of the survivors. But, I mean, look at that build, that is a stacked build. But, at this point, even though it could be over, obviously it's not over until it's over, no matter what the win con is, whether it's a 4k5 you have to win, it's not over until that first generator pops. I think Dagosh gotta play, get Hunter off and get him reset. They need a bait chase and take it away so they can reset Hunter and sort of get a bit of momentum moving, because it seems like they are stuck at a roadblock and there's no entry. You have to pay, and paying is by trading hooks. So it definitely not the situation they'd want to be in, as we've caught Leggy off guard here, and that'll be eruption onto the generator. But there goes the big man Hunter. So Hunter will be getting reset instantly in the background by Storm's Eye, which I believe will make it. So that is a nice amount of value getting down. So Leggy will get down here, and this is looking very nice for the big man Enlightened. So to be completely honest with you, it is looking very dire now for the survivors, Tavi.
Yeah, Enlighten decided to trade one advantage for another, knowing the win condition means that they can afford to go for fresh hooks, which is, in my opinion, the correct play here. So, with a margin of 3 more hooks required for Enlightened, with 4 more gens to be popped for the survivors, the task kind of seems impossible. Mercy is now found, wins a 50-50 on the filler, but Enlighten is trying to deny that window vault, I believe, from Mercy, and she's just gonna book it away to the oil truck instead, try and make distance away all the way to the death spot of the map, the comp corner, as we call it in competitive, and she's going down onto a hook, which will secure the 4th stage of the trial. So now all Enlighten needs is 1 more fresh hook to win the game, or 2 hooks of any quality, and that would secure the first set for Bleedout. So, I don't see a world where CatJam can get away with this, but at the same time, hey, like last week we saw a was it Spirit? Oh no, I forgot the killer. I think it was Spirit on Wrecker's Yard, failing to get like a down for like 3 or 4 generators. It was insane. So there is still like a very slim possibility that it happens. It was like Requiem set, which I was casting, but it's still possible. Enlighten, though, knowing the win condition, should be able to just book it towards and like just commit really any survivor, commit any chase, and that should be sufficient, because 4 gens is a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. That is a huge amount of time for our survivors to be sitting gens, and Enlighten does find Mercy here, so this chase will not last that long because she's heading edge map, but at least a generator is popping in the background. So hope's not over yet. Enlighten nearly gets spun. That would have felt good on on the side of CatJam if he did. But what's not good is that the tie condition is now met for Enlightened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that'll be the win. Obviously, really well played. And look at that, the pain race coming in. So this, honestly, Tavi, I mean, talk about results. This could be a 4K4, 4K3. I don't really see Enlightened giving up any of the pace that he has at the moment. And we're going to obviously kick and get Eruption onto this next generator. So, Tavi, beautifully well... Whoa, English. Beautifully played from Enlighten. Obviously, we will see a generator in the background, you know, pop, but I don't see them slowing down or Light slowing down anytime soon. I think he's absolutely playing this incredible, and look at the tracking on that man. Get this man checked out. I mean, he definitely does not, he gets, you know, he must have some really nice glasses, because that is incredible. I mean, the man is just tracking that grass, spotting out Hunter, and, you know, this is going to be a down here onto the big man. So that is the CEO down. That will be the death onto him. So very nice, nicely done. But Tavi, I mean, at this point, you just got to play for your best result, and, you know, I think their best result is 4K2, 4K1, but it is definitely seeming like it is a rough go, because Enlighten has brought the pressure out, and he's just, you know, completely followed through with it. There is no doubt that he, like I said, is a very experienced player, almost like LV Duck. Has been around for a while, maybe not as long as Duck, but has solidified himself as a top tier player. So, you know, I wouldn't put Light anywhere below, you know, or I wouldn't put him on a tier list anywhere, but I'd definitely say that he's a gun of a player. So for him to step up and put on a show like this, when I never even thought he played this killer, to be completely honest, is absolutely incredible. So, you know, Tavi, so far, what are we seeing? Like a 4K2, a best 4K1 even?
I think a 4K2 would show some very skilled gameplay from Enlighten, like if that were to happen. 4K1 is more likely, I'd say, in this position, since Enlighten doesn't really have any pressure on the board anymore. Now Hunter's dead. There's not really well, okay, we spot a survivor now, but there was just in like the past, I guess, 20 to 30 seconds, there was not really any kind of key points. Oh, unlucky little reverse there, Mercy. But They're not really like any key points that Enlighten had to keep track of. The survivors managed to reset safely and get away. And now Mercy's being chased. Of course, we will see a gen pop as a response to our survivors, which will make it a 2 gens remaining in the distance, but it's still a much, of course, much better result than what CatJam's killer got Mayonnaise in the previous trial, which I didn't make. Oh no, oh, whatever. Oh, that's actually 2 gens popping. Oh, my bad. I must have miscounted the number of generators that were being progressed. So, yeah, prediction of mine was sort of correct, for 4K1, but I think some credit will have to be given to the Bleedout survivors too. They did manage to pull off a very clean spirit performance, which could have ended up in something like a 4K0 or like high stages, but instead gave their killer Enlightened a very clean win condition. Go for 5 stages, very, very simple win condition. And now we're looking at a 4K1 instead. So very well played by Bleedout, as we've been saying. And we'll kind of just see whether that gives Bleedout confidence in the next set. Of course, there's not Enlightened playing the Bubba in the next set. It will be JD for sure.
Yeah.
And a killer switch, I think, is kind of interesting because, well, not kind of interesting, but it does shift like a little bit of momentum. Because if you have this like the same killer
What?
playing, yeah, I mean, this guy needs to be checked, bro. Oh, that's beautiful from Enlighten. But like, yeah, having the killer switch, like having Enlighten get a 4K1 and then JD having to set the next win condition, it is a like, just a bit of a momentum shift. So that might not carry over. Maybe CatJam can make a better comeback in the next Bubba set, but it will be up to the confidence in chase for Bubba, because Bubba's chase is very, very important. And Leggy is taking the next chase.
I mean, very nicely done from the survivors, because Tavi, I mean, a 4K, it looked like, to be completely honest, I didn't even say a 4K one, and obviously my predictions will never always be right, but it didn't look like a 4K one in the end. It was looking like a 4K 3, 4K 2, 4K 2 at best, and they've sort of pulled this back and said, you know what, like, even though the game is over, we've lost this, we still have something to put a fight up for. So, you know, a 4K1 result, Tavi, it's beautiful to see, especially in the situation they were in. It doesn't get much better than that. They've played it really nicely, and you know, unfortunate that some of the chases that were had weren't brought into the game a little bit earlier, like we saw on the Caustic versus Kaido kids. You know, if LV Duck had that chase later on in the game on the dual set, that could have been crucial to what the result could have been. Will be good to go. So I think, you know, this killer, how strong it can be in the right hands. I'd be scared shitless against JD's Bubba. I don't. I'm. You know, I'm pretty sure they'd be damn happy that they got this killer, because we've seen time and time again. You know, JD 4K3 on the Bubba, 4K4, bloody 4K5 on a killer that's not even, you know, rated very high. So, you know, I think it's been, you know, it's a privilege to watch JD, the man who loves this killer and is basically crowned where JD goes where JD pleases. So you know, I'd be scared, like I said, shitless against him on this killer especially. So you know, Tavi, JD locked in. It's a scary sight.
It is scary, but the way to stop that in the tracks is to, of course, not that allow that to happen, not allow JD to build up the confidence. And I think that's what's going to happen here because, again, as I was saying before, ambitious plays and those kind of confident plays get shut down when they don't work. And seeing how JD's played before, I would assume they're going to play similarly again. And that could possibly be one of the only points of leverage that CatJam could go off in the following trial. It's just going to be difficult because JD has the experience on the killer, and I don't think I've seen CatJam play a Bubba set at all. So really, that's another advantage going to Bleedout and JD. I will say though, Bubba sets are very similar anyway to DDS sets, like any other DDS set, where you kind of like the general idea of like looping and positioning is very important because of the map size and the density of resources on the map. So when you play DDS a lot, there does come that kind of like mutual understanding with different killers of how to loop. But Bubba is kind of like a bit of a wrench in the works, like throwing a bit of funny in the works of things because Bubba can insta down, so you're not safe anywhere. Whereas like Wraith is kind of different, where like if you're injured, you're insta down. But on Bubba, you kind of know where he is, but then the map is so small, so then he's kind of like everywhere except like where he's not. So it's a lot of like strengths and weaknesses, which I guess if CatJam can perhaps exploit, or if JD can perhaps exploit, then we will be seeing uh, results from whichever side does it better.
Yeah, really said. Well, Tavi, I mean, I'm so glad that we get to witness this live. Pardon me, but JD on the Bubba, gonna be a great watch. But I'm keen to see how these survivors play because when you come up against such a matchup like this, against where it's a rough matchup, where for anyone that is new to the OSL Oceanic Sacrificial League, there is a VIP tipping, and you know it's all been towards bleed out. So it is rough, but I still don't put it past CatJam. I mean, I think they can put up a good result on a good day, and we'll obviously see them fired up, ready to go. But we do spawn in. We have again some strong builds, and Tavi against the Bubba. You got to sort of force your M1s. You don't want to give away 3 downs, because it doesn't obviously help at all. So this will be the chase here on to Maya. Now we are going to have to live for as long as possible, and we are going to force an M1. So that is the first step to doing the correct thing. So again, the double vault from the big JD, and we're going to catch Maya off guard, and this will be a down here. Beautifully well played.
Basement.
I'm not speaking English. Yeah, that will be basement. That will be basement. JD has already secured, realistically, what do we say, a death now? Because I tell you what, it is looking rough. That is a beautiful start. This is the build we saw JD run last season, if I'm not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen. We saw him put the deadlock on and give it a shot. Now, I do think, they are going to have to get this pull at a reasonable time. They have to get away from basement. Dying in basement is terrible. JD can camp this out. He can play for a 4K2, 4K1, but he is going to catch Rothy on roller off guard. So this is going to be possibly another down if we don't have a pallet to work with. We don't have a pallet to work with. So this is going to be a down onto Rothy. Now, Leggy's going to get off the generator and has to send it towards Shaq. Now, this is problems because as soon as the... oh, no, so we're sitting the gen. So this is the right thing to do. Now, we are playing... we are playing passive-aggressive. That'll be the deadlock coming in clutch here. So that'll slow down the progression of the generators. But Tavi, situation like this, you got one in basement. What do you do?
This is absolutely terrible for the survivors because now with the commitment into basement from Leggy, it means that JD. Oh no! Oh, Leggy's going. Leggy's going to the edge of the map. He actually baited away JD from the other hook and tried to like deflect the attention away from the hook to the basement and just baited that away. So that's actually well played for the survivors. I thought that that basement hook would be unhooked by Leggy, but that was just a bait coming through. So I think that's one step in the correct direction. But that down from JD onto Rothy is just terrible because they've had to waste a lot of time resetting the survivor. Actually, not resetting, just picking the survivor up and losing gen pressure and just map pressure in general because of that. And I feel like if that down didn't happen, JD would have to play a lot more passive. They'd have to try and camp the basement a little bit more and secure that stage. But now with Maya, I believe, who's on the hook, with Maya now just like 15 to 10 seconds away from dying, I don't know if CatJam can do anything about the basement at all. Uh, yeah, as you might know from playing some pub games, if a Bubba is near a hook and has the chainsaw available, there is no way that you can get out of a kill. The best counterplay to that is, of course, just going for generators, but with that down, generators will worse. Head on comes through by Mercy. Nice mind game is going to preserve the chase. That is huge for our survivors because it does mean that that 3 survivors are still in the trial and they can pressure the gens. They can start maybe getting the 3-gen done, but still there's that problem where if JD wants to camp a down in this 3-gen, he will camp it down because they just don't have the resources. They don't have the I guess the manpower to aggressively work the 3-gen while the hook is being camped. So like JD kicks a gen, sure, and now it has eruption. Luckily, I believe that was Mercy running away from the hook. Will be able to get away from that horrible death spot. But there's still the same problem on the hands where since Maya is dead, it's just huge. It's huge issues. And now Rothy has to throw down this pallet or risk dying, and he's just gonna die. Never mind. A bit of a flick from JD is going to secure that down, and that's gotta feel good for JD because he can drag this all the way to the generator, stop that from being progressed, and pretty much grind the survivors' progress to a halt. And what looks to be a 4K just seconds ago is now pretty much guaranteed at this point. But JD is actually going to chase Leggy, goes for a bit of a flick, but understands is a little bit too ambitious onto Leggy. So he's going to give away the other generator for this chase, but as a result, that 4K, well, probably like 4K2, 4K1 at best for our survivors is going to be huge. Nice little flick again, does nearly make it, just barely touching the pallet there, just barely missing Leggy, will secure the M1 instead. And yeah, force this pretty much to a 3v1. There's no way that Mercy will even think about going for this unhook. And yeah, with this 2v1 now, it's very, very rough. Again, Hasso, look at the gens. That's the issue with Bubba. It's so territorial that you have to try and get the hook out of the gen area, otherwise you have problems.
Yeah, I mean, problems team is what I have to say. Tavi, we're at a 2v1, 2 gens remaining, but what do? We've spotted out a next survivor, which I believe it's a sprint burst. Oh my goodness, just stopped my heart for a second. So too close, but we do catch Lee off guard. Now Mercy realistically could just sit a gen, and that's what she's gonna do. But again, we do catch Mercy off the generator. So it's whether JD now spots this survivor. Now JD has run. Oh, JD has run right on top of Mercy. So this is problems and what?
Lopo Bubba.
Oh my days. That is an incredible hit somehow. The ping must have fucked Mercy death over there because that is diabolical, at least on the side of the spectator screen. That did not look to connect, but maybe I'm just dumb or stupid, but you know, very nicely done. JD just hitting the gen, thinks this is pubs, you get extra blood points, 100 blood points. It's not how it works, mate. But nah, we are going to get a 4K2, a beautiful result on the side of the big man Jay. Does the MVP of the previous season. So, you know, this man has put a lot of effort into DVD. And
on our staff end of things, we have received some proof of Smunk's end of the game was a chainsaw bug, so we've gotten a restart for that, and there will be no penalty. It's just the game bug occurring, and there's not really much either team can do about that. Hasso, all that start we hyped up, turned out that Smonk's chainsaw was bugged, and I think he will not want to chase JD. That's something perhaps that Smunk should not do in the next trial. But I don't think any of the other survivors you want to chase either. I really just like I'm looking at this. I guess Voices maybe you could exploit with high ping, same as Jazz. They're kind of on higher ping, but they both know how to play the game. They both know how to loop a Bubba, surely. So wherever you look, it's just gonna be hard chases around.
Yeah, and Tav, we're loading back in now. What a chase from JD. Now, of course, there is no doubt that it was unfortunate. I was questioning why wasn't Sir Smonk using his chainsaw. There is no doubt about that, but very well played. I mean, I don't know if his M1 was bugged or what happened, but Tav, it definitely looked a bit, lopsided there. I mean, I'm very unfortunate there. So, we will be loading back into this next trial now. Any predictions here, big man?
I think Bleedout have the confidence to go for the win condition here. It is not a difficult win condition to go for with a good first chase. And we saw JD pull off that good first chase, Hasso. And even if that bug didn't happen, I think Smunk would have been on a huge back foot there. Like it would have been multiple steps behind to go for the win condition. But anyway, we load in. That's my prediction. I think the survivors will probably get outs. So we'll see if that happens. There's one thing I did want to add quickly, because I played Bubba. I believe the tantrum bug occurs when you tantrum, after using your chainsaw. Like when you start chainsaw, I guess, Bubba, like bubbering. When you start the Bubba, and then you tantrum off hitting the thing, after the wall, but then you break a wall or pallet immediately after, then the game doesn't like it. And it will just be like, yeah, nah, I'm not doing that. JD though does take the first hit, very similar to how Maya did in the previous trial. So this could be a bit of bad news coming through, but they are running the edge map, so there's still a lot of distance between JD and Smunk. So this chase should be able to last a little bit. Still got a bit of fill around, still has the main palette to play, and it's not looking as bad because again this chase is around the main building. It's not around the 3 Jenny gallows, and it's not around the basement. So yeah.
I mean, Tavi, no way out. I haven't seen that one before. Have you?
I've rarely seen that perk. The last time I saw that perk in competitive, I believe was on the Plague, and that's because Plague doesn't get value from Noed. I guess Bubba actually gets a good amount from Noed, but Noed is not allowed in our current season, so it kind of explains No Way Out in a way, but Bubba's not really going to secure a lot of stages anyway, so yeah, JD's not going to get down. Beautifully played from JD there, and I don't think Jazz is in any situation of going down either. It's just playing the chase house monks, stepping through the window 3 times, and Jazz is actually a little bit caught out. So I think the ping was a bit of an issue there. Goes for the pre-drop, gets it, and will just sail and cruise to the next pallet.
Yep, I mean, it is starting to look a little bit dire here for the big man. Smonkey doesn't have it down. He still has 3 generators remaining. He's playing this fairly aggressive. Obviously, needs a download. So we are going to get it down onto the big Jazz now. Jazz, I'm not too sure, Tavi, what the Jazz plays on, but what I do know is, from DBD ranked and other stuff, I do know that he plays a lot of that, and I think he's definitely used to playing on higher ping. So I don't think it's a problem for the big man Jazz. I think he's sort of conquered how to play on ping. He sort of knows the timings, and I'm pretty sure Royces is going to adapt to the same thing that Jazz is. I mean, Royces obviously, again, playing on ping, so it doesn't help, but, Royces is going to drop this card, and, like I said, ping is a big point in competitive, especially you got to have good ping in certain situations. And Smonk's not going to get the hit here, so this is starting to look like problems now, team. Now, I mean, what do you do in a situation like this, Tavi? I mean, it's starting to look very dire.
There's not really much to do because there's still 4 survivors in the trial. It's just difficult to mount enough pressure on a killer that has to walk with his feet to chase down survivors. There's just very, very little chance that Smunk can defend these generators. And there goes one generator in the background. Voices is playing this RNG very nicely. He takes the long road around the pallet, gets the bleed up. Smunk will just accept that. Will say, yeah, this pallet is strong enough for me to break it on his own. And we'll continue the chainsaw. I do want to see some flicks here from Smunk. There's nothing to lose at this point. Voices is not going to get mind game, even through ping, but Smunk is the tank. He runs through everything. Nothing will stop him, and he gets the down through that. And might actually get a pain res to delay the next generator. I don't think it will matter here, Mr. Hasso. I don't think the generators can be stopped anymore because, again, look at this split. But it is still a nice little feeling for Smunk to get a chainsaw down. Doesn't matter who you get it on. Even on an injured survivor, getting the chainsaw down is like the best feeling ever. Like Blight. I imagine you get like a down on Blight. Like Blight's an S tier, bro. But like getting a down on Bubba is like, oh hell yeah, it's like the best feeling ever. So, yeah. A bit of molding for me when I don't get down to Bubba, but Enlighten takes the next chase, and I think he should play this one fairly well. He's not playing on ping, so I would not assume anything crazy will go on here. Gets a smash it too, very nicely done, and he's just going to book it away. There goes the win condition, and CatJam, CatJam's fate is sealed.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've never really had good memories on this map. I remember Canalay 4K5 on the Freddy. So, you know, this map definitely doesn't give me good memories. But you know, I'll tell you what, both teams doing well to avoid the 4K5. Obviously, it is now Bleedout's game, but you are kidding. Oh my goodness. If he bumped into the window there, I would have been going crazy. So that is very unfortunate on the side of the big line. But that is the final gem popping. That will be no way out though. So no way out is still in the trial. So we are just going to slug the big Sir. Smunk just does not give a shit. He just sees, you know what? At this point, I don't care. So he's going to follow the scratch marks. It's going to be the big Jazz, and even Jazz just on the ping. I mean, I'm telling you, this man knows how to play on the ping, so we might see Light get picked up here in the background now. We do see Light get picked up here in the background, but this could be 2 for 1 here, and we are going to go for Light. Now, I don't think man, Sir Scott is too happy with Light emoting a bit earlier, so I don't think he wants Light, whether even though the recon's been, you know, on the side of Sir Scott, I don't think he wants Light exiting this trial alive, Tab.
Yeah, but he's gonna hook him eventually, you know. He's gonna just start crawling towards the gate. JD, I think it was trying a cheeky little CJ tech, but it's not gonna work out, and Smunk will be able to collect the 3rd stage of the trial. For the lore accurate players here, it's probably likely that Smunk will camp the basement. Yep, and who would have possibly thought that was the case? So despite the 2-0 for Bleedout, yeah, CatJam just gonna take this, and yeah, I think it was just an outclass on both sets from Bleedout. They just played better on the survivor sets, and yeah, they just managed to pull this away to a 2-0. But